What's going on, everyone? Vince the Engineer here. This is Yarbo. It is a multifunctional yard robot. Right now we have the snowblower attachment on it, and we are going to be testing this out in some snow we have coming our way. So stay tuned. This is going to be a good one. So Yarbo did reach out and send this unit to me at no cost in exchange for this review, but I promise you the thoughts and opinions are of my own. If you have any questions, feel free, drop those down in the comments below. I do my very best to answer every single question, even if it means reaching out to the manufacturer to get those questions answered for you. So when you decide to purchase Yarbo with the snowblower attachment, you can expect to receive a total of 5 boxes. We have the main core unit right here with a battery, plus the snowblower module, a smart assist module, and the charger. An important thing to note with the shipping, these were shipped via FedEx ground. I believe FedEx has an upper limit of like 150 pounds for their ground shipping. So with the core being the heaviest unit, I think at least on the tracking, it showed up at like 141 pounds or something like that. Definitely nice to be able to ship this via FedEx ground to reach many, almost all residential properties with no problems at all. The packaging is very nice. Everything is nicely strapped together, nice and secure. You know, this is a lot of money, so you want to make sure it gets delivered and is intact. Extra cardboard around the edges here to protect the main box. Really nice. I'm really happy to see that. When it comes to assembling the unit you see right here, you're basically taking the snowblower module, attaching it, you're switching out the tracks to the snowblower tracks, you're attaching the 2 antenna here and the antenna in the back here, and that's it. You're pretty much set up with this unit. Then you have to set up the data center. And this is the data center. As you can see, you've got a few antennae you have to install at the top, and then there's the mounting pole that brings us down. We have it mounted on our fence right here, and then the data cable. This is that power over Ethernet cable, runs down into the pole here, and I've got it running down the fence and making its way into the basement. I'll show you that in a minute, but wanted to let you know that you do have to have this data center open to like the clear open sky like we have here. I have used other RTK units, like you can see this guy right here. I've had success with that, so I know that this is a good area to put this thing. And I haven't even experienced any interference between these two. Seems to be working fine. We've always had this solid green light indicating a good and strong signal. And never really had an issue. I know Brandon over at Turf Culture has installed his RTK unit inside of his garage. He's got really tall 14-foot ceilings in his garage, and it's working for him. It is not recommended to do that, but in his situation, it works. I'll leave a link down below to his video that he uploaded on the Yarbo unit, and go check that out. Now, this power over Ethernet cable is really long. It's like 30 meters, or what is that, roughly about 100 feet or so. And we've got it coming down and around our basement here. I got to do a better job of cleaning this up, but this is just to get things set up real quickly. Got some extra down here. Then it goes into the power adapter, which is plugged in over here. Don't judge my cable setup. And then coming out from the adapter and back up and into the back of our router right there. And then with the charging pad, that's also very straightforward. We do have ours installed in the lawn. And yes, with the snow tracks, it is damaging the lawn. I was expecting that. You can install that charging pad in concrete if you'd like. We decided not to. I didn't want to put any holes in the concrete, but you could certainly do that. If you have an area where there isn't any vegetation and you can easily get right onto the concrete, that's probably going to be the most ideal. But just keep in mind that the pad needs to have clearances on all 4 sides so that the Yarbo unit can navigate itself and turn and move around to center itself on that pad. Now, total setup time, if you're tech savvy and maybe you've reviewed the videos ahead of time to understand where things need to be, like the data center and the charging pad and stuff like that, plan on spending a good half a day to a day installing this unit. The tracks themselves, you're probably going to spend about 10 to 15 minutes even just right there changing out the tracks. There are videos on how to do that. It's very straightforward. And then setting everything up in the app, getting the driveway area or any other areas mapped out, getting the sidewalks mapped out, mapping out where the charging base is, things like that. And then going through and making sure, testing things, making sure that, you know, the front auger here is at the right pitch you want it, things like that, making sure that it's actually doing the areas that you want, that it can get to the sidewalks and everything, kind of just troubleshooting at that point to make sure everything is dialed in. You know, just plan on spending about 4 to 8 hours, I would say, to get all that stuff together. So just kind of going over this unit and what it has and what it can do for you. You know, the front here, this is like a very typical snowblower unit, what you would see on a standard unit. You've got the auger on the inside and the impeller all the way in the back here. All solid steel construction. You see it's very thick gauge steel. Even in the back here, that is all steel. On the sides here is steel. I think in the back, this right here, that is plastic. And because it is an automated unit, you do have a couple cameras here and a bumper right here that detects if something has collided with the unit. In the front here, just for safety purposes, you do have these steel bars. They are removable. You can take these out, and I've seen people do that just to help with the performance of bringing the snow in and avoiding things getting caught here and accumulating and more or less this becoming like a plow. The chute is also solid steel. You do have this plastic cuff in the front here, but everything in here is nice and sturdy, thick steel. And then we get to the base unit in the back here. These are the taller antennas for the snowblower. If you are using the mower attachment, they do make the smaller antennas. You got cameras on the side. We do have the snow tracks installed. These are studded, so when you're tracking around on just bare concrete, just be mindful. It will cause some minor scuffs in the concrete when it is snowing or it's icy out. These tracks are a must for traction. If you have the regular tracks on, these are for the lawn, like if you're using the mower attachment. Much smoother, much more gentle on the grass. In the back here, you have another antenna here to communicate. This one is for the halo, and these are the GPS antennas. A couple more cameras in the back and lights in the back. One thing to note, you can charge this with an actual cable, and I've actually been doing that lately rather than using the charging pad outside, more just because I like to bring this into the garage and not just have this in my front yard. So you can hook this guy up over here. I've got my adapter right here and just plug that right in and it charges. Really nice. Let's see. The other thing in the back here is where you can put the the towing attachment there if you're towing anything. And then I believe this right here is for other attachments that pulled behind. I'm not 100% on this, but I do think the future granular spreader and liquid spreader, I believe they will be installed behind the unit and they would plug in right here to operate. And if I haven't mentioned it already, the packaging and the way everything comes is nicely labeled and corresponds to the written instructions. It comes with a bunch of tools, and even the tools themselves are labeled, like this is Allen key number 2, and this is corresponding to the instructions. It will tell you, use Allen key number 2 to unscrew this cover bolt here. I'm going to show you real quick how this attachment can be removed and reattached. You just take this cover off here. Slide that off. Unplug this guy right here. And then there are two latches on the other side right here. You just pull these latches up, and then you can just remove the entire unit, and you can put a new attachment on. You can also use Yarbo and use the controller to like line this up. These units are rather heavy, so use the remote control feature for this unit to your advantage, so you're not picking this thing up and moving it around. To line back up, just put that back there so we don't hit it. Line the prongs up with the unit, slide it on, put the latches back down, make sure it's secure, attach the cable, and then slide the cover back on. There you go. Also want to mention that on the inside of the unit here, there is a blade that runs across the bottom here. This unit can get you all the way down to pavement, but sometimes maybe if there's a sheet of ice or something like that, you can adjust basically how high you want the auger to be off the pavement. If you have it all the way down, there are plastic shoes on the side to protect from scraping and things like that, but I keep it at about, like 1/8 of an inch or something like that off. And if it does sense that it has caught on a cracked piece of concrete or something like that, it will automatically adjust up and down to get around that, sort of like, consider it like an obstacle, and then reorient itself, put the blade back down, and continue working. So we finally got some snow. Not that much. We were slated for about 1 to 3 inches. Ended up getting about 1 inch. As you can see, the grass is still sticking up in the yard there. So not too much, but we're still gonna give Yarbo a try here, show you what it looks like in this neat time lapse. So honestly, we didn't get that much snow to begin with, and it wouldn't really have warranted the use of a snow blower, but I was so excited to get Yarbo out here and clear this snow. I wanted to showcase that to you guys. You'll notice that I'm coming out occasionally to tend to the unit and clear out some blockages for reasons I'm gonna share with you in a moment here, but this was not the time lapse I was hoping for. So I was hoping for a really clean up here, but one thing I'm noticing, as you can see right here, this is all heavy, thick slush. And it kind of just wrapped up snowing, but I guess the ground was just a little bit warmer, and all this is mostly just getting plowed. But the impeller, there it's clear, but where it slows down, it just gets jammed right up top there. So I'll keep working with this, but in our conditions, a little bit warmer, heavier snow, it is struggling. Not too uncommon for regular snow blowers to clog up like that. I am playing around with the speed of the impeller too. I was on its quiet setting, went up to mild, robust, and then the turbo setting. It is still getting clogged up, but it is a really good plow. And if you wanted to, you could buy a specific plow for the Yarbo unit. And since this is a known issue amongst all snow blowers, they do make products like this right here. This is a non-stick polymer treatment. It's a spray that you could spray a couple coatings inside the unit here and inside the chute to give a nice slick surface that the ice can't really stick to. If you let it dry and you apply it when things are dry, it should really help and make a dramatic change in how this thing operates in that thick, wet, slushy snow. So we're gonna give that a try here. One thing to note, I did get approval to do this by Yarbo, but one thing to note is to make sure you are not spraying the antennas. Just keep the spray on the inside here, avoid spraying the cameras, and you can spray inside the chute, but just be cautious. You don't wanna affect the telemetry or anything like that on the unit. So keep everything inside the auger area here and the chute only, and you'll be totally fine. And as you can see here, after the non-stick polymer treatment, we had Yarbo back up and running, cleaning up this slush. It was a huge improvement. I highly recommend using this stuff, especially if you live in an area like we do. We are in New Jersey, and when it snows, The temperatures are hovering right around that freezing mark, so that first inch or so of snow is usually slush. If you're used to getting that light powdery snow, then this should be absolutely no problem for you. But like I said, this is a common occurrence among snow blowers to get stuck and jammed like this in the slushy, icy snow. And I would highly recommend using this non-stick polymer treatment. So this is a fully autonomous robot. However, if you did want to take control of things yourself, you can certainly do that. And here I am trying that with the remote that came with the unit. You can also do this in the app as well. But, you can certainly control things on your own. It does take a little bit of getting used to, like I was mentioning with that remote. But here's me giving it a shot and showing how you can do it. It's a little bit squirrely, not as clean. It actually does a better job if you just kind of set it and forget it and let it do its thing automatically. But if you want to drive yourself, you can certainly do that. So one of the nice things I like about Yarbo is that it comes with a separate physical controller. It's already paired to the machine, ready to go. To start it up, you just kind of press this button and then you switch over the connection from the app connected controller to the physical controller by pressing the switch button here. The controller shakes and then you can operate everything from here. The chute is controlled with the D-pad here, controlling side to side discharge and up and down distance. And then over here, these buttons control the snowblower tilt up and down. That's Y and A. And then X and B are for the lights. All lights on, some of the lights off, back lights on, forward lights on. You can toggle between all those. Now to operate the motion, forward, backward, turning, there is a dead man switch feature in the controller. You have to hold down the right button here in order to move the machine. That's in the event that if you were to drop the remote or anything like that, the controls will not allow the machine to operate. Now, to operate the auger, there's a similar dead man switch feature. You have to press two of these guys at the same time. Then the auger will start up and you can control the speed by pressing the left button here. And then when you let go, it shuts down. So some of my final thoughts here, and kind of like my overall review of things. First and foremost, the cool factor. This thing is really cool. It's 10 out of 10. If you're really into tech and gadgets and things like this is like the ultimate yard tool that you can go with that does everything by itself. And it basically does what you tell it to do. So keep that in mind, especially when drawing out your areas and stuff like that. You have to have a base understanding of how everything works. Otherwise, garbage in will equal garbage out. But this thing is super cool. Build quality. This thing is built like a tank. This entire unit is probably weighing over 200 pounds. So, and it's solid steel construction in most places. The chassis and everything is all solid steel. Couple plastic parts up at the top here and around the sides. High quality cameras. I believe they're even heated cameras to keep them free and clear of any snow or ice. Nice sturdy materials all around. The inside, like I mentioned earlier, mostly all solid steel construction to shoot solid steel. Really excellent build quality, another 10 out of 10 there. Where more of the difficulty is going to be is determining if it's worth going with a unit like this, because it's not cheap. So calculating that return on investment for you and your property, that's going to be totally up to you. And if you think it's worth it, then maybe this is the solution for you. Now the install for me, I am an engineer. I have a very technical background. I was able to follow all of the instructions provided and follow all of the videos and the content that's been created about setting this up. I had no problems setting up this unit, but I do understand that some of you don't have that background and you probably will struggle with getting some of this stuff together. However, Yarbo is committed to making sure you are successful in getting things set up, and they're available to help out if you have any questions. When it comes to ease of use, I really do like that they include a separate controller standalone from the app, so you can control this without using the app. Using this controller does take a little bit of getting used to. The app has everything kind of labeled and it knows, okay, this is your auger speed. It tells you this is how you adjust the tilt of the auger, where the chute's being directed, how far the distance of the snow is being thrown, things like that. There are no labels on this controller, so there are videos, there are diagrams that tell you in the manual how to use the controller, but it'll take a few moments to get used to this. If you wanted to, you can install your phone where you have the app connected right onto the top there of the controller to see everything. That's especially useful if you're mapping out an area and things like that. The app is very intuitive, so I would say probably like a 8 out of 10 as far as ease of use, and maybe like a 6 out of 10 for ease of install for most of you. So we have some snow headed our way this weekend. I'm hoping to give this another try. Hopefully we get more than a ½ inch or an inch like we had previously, so I can really showcase to you guys how this thing works. I also have Yarbo sending me the plow attachment so I can show that to you. Even when the snow got stuck inside the auger here, it still acted like a good plow without the plow attachment, and it was pushing things out and away. But with the plow attachment and the plow setting turned on in the app, it prevents the auger from spinning. It prevents wasting all that battery life. So if you do have that thick slushy snow, the plow is probably going to be the better attachment for you. And that's the nice thing about this system. It is a multifunctional attachment system. So, you know, when you're in snow mode, you've got the plow, you've got the snow blower. When you're in the summertime and springtime, you've got the mower attachment. In the fall, you've got the blower attachment. They are planning on coming out with an edger attachment, a trimmer attachment, a granular spreader, a liquid sprayer attachment. So a lot of nice things coming for this unit right here to really give you full control over your yard and automated control. So I'm really excited about that. As you guys know, I am a huge fan of like these attachments type systems. We have quite a few of like the handheld attachment systems here, quite a few from Milwaukee, Echo, Steel. And the nice thing about these attachment systems, it allows you to have basically one motor or one base unit and just have these smaller attachments aside, so you don't have to have all the machinery, and you really save some storage too, because you don't need to store all that stuff. You just have the one motor and then, you know, the individual attachments to go with it. So huge fan of those attachment systems, and I'm really happy that Yarbo has put something together like this because it's well designed. It is a tank, and I'm really looking forward to using this thing in the future as well when we get into that mowing season. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for joining.